please give your ears and your eyes to Mr. Bob Kohn.
Thank you. Thanks. Is this on? Good. Between my father and I, who are co-authors of this book, we have over 100 years of music industry experience here. My father was a musical arranger back in the 1930s, and during the war he worked for Irving Berlin as an arranger, and then later became a music publisher as head of licensing for Warner Chappell Music for 20 years. Upon his retirement, we had published this book, Kohn on Music Licensing, which was a 10-year effort that the genesis of which was a speech my father had given at UCLA on copyright registration, which he ran at Warner's. And then when we were writing this book together, it turns out that the licensing aspect of music publishing is a lot more important and a lot more interesting than copyright registration. So we began to add chapters, like chapters on performance licensing, chapters on mechanical licensing, chapter on the grand rights controversy and what is a grand right and how is music used in dramatic performances and in theater. So we started to add a lot more to this book, and originally it was an 800-page book back in 1992 in the first edition, and now in the fourth edition, which just came out last month, it is now 1,800 pages with a CD-ROM with 170 forms on it. Now, for those of you who have prior editions of the book, all you need to know is that the fourth edition is now available, and you can get 15% off either by buying it upstairs at the ASCAP boutique or by going online to kohnmusic.com. That's KOHNMUSIC.com, our website, where you can also get 15% off from the publisher. Now, for those of you who are young songwriters and who have not purchased the book, the thing to know is that we have been called, or the book has been called, the Bible of music publishing, and that was USA Today. That wasn't us saying that. So in a way, my dad is sort of like a god of music publishing and music licensing if we wrote the Bible on the subject.
Actually, the book is just more than a lot of copyright itself. There's a lot of history in here, a lot of music about the business itself, how the business started, going back way back to the early days when there was no copyright at all. And I was involved with Irving Berlin, and this is the Army. I was very close with the Gershwins, and we have chapters in here and stories that I have done over the years with these people. So it's more than just copyright, though it does cover every angle of copyright, including the complete internet situation today, and going back to termination rights, copyright rights, and so forth, and publishing rights, as well as songwriting rights. It's a complete treatise. It is not just a pamphlet of books.
So what we've tried to do here is combine the law with the history and the culture of the business, because as many people in the music industry know, it really is about the practices and customs of the industry that cause all the confusion, the terms of art that are used. You know, why is a mechanical license called a mechanical license? Well, that was from player piano rolls because they were mechanical reproductions of music. And of course, a mechanical license is what you use to license a song in a musical download today. And there's nothing mechanical about that. But yet these terms of art have been coming from the history in the past. Now, we have this span of time in the book where we talk about these societies and the very creation of the performance rights societies and the creation of ASCAP and where ASCAP was formed and who formed it and the history of this. We also talk about the history of modern times. I was the founder of the download service eMusic. I founded that company in 1997, and we took it public and we sold it to Vivendi Universal. But during that critical period of 1997 when we started in around 2001, was a very, very important time in the formative years of digital, where really nobody knew what the business models were going to be. So what the book has done is takes the business models that as they evolved from the late 1990s to where they are today, covering all of the recent issues that the Copyright Royalty Board has been issuing on both the sound recording side as well as the music publishing side. When we talk about at the copyright session earlier, there was a discussion about guitar tabs and digital guitar tabs and digital print and all of these new models, and all of that's covered by the book. So if you're new to the book and you're new to copyright, and if you're a new songwriter, you might be taken back a little bit by the price of the book. The price today of this book is $325, all right? Now, if I want you to think in these terms, first of all, you can get a 15% discount by going to cohnmusic.com or buying it here at ASCAP. But think, the average lawyer in the music industry charges $300 an hour, and almost all of them have this book. And it's not written for lawyers specifically for them in the legal jargon. It really is written for someone like me. When I entered the business when I was 17 years old, trying to follow my dad in his footsteps, we wrote it as if, what kind of book would I want as a 17-year-old to teach me the music publishing business? So that's what we managed to do, and that's what we tried to do in the book. And given the reviews that we've had from it and the feedback, we think we've accomplished that, and we hope you enjoy it.
You know, some of you write songs for shows. There's a controversy called, grand rights. This book takes the grand rights controversy in very, very closely perspective. It's about almost 30 pages alone on grand rights. And it's so important to know that your rights are protected by the copyright law. But people don't understand that. They think you can do a show and just not pay for the music. It's very important to know about this grand rights controversy.
Now, one of the things in the book, actually, is that in 1946, my father was involved in one of the first grand right cases. He was the arranger of was it Romberg, the Student Prince?
The Student Prince,
The
yes.
Student Prince. He did a medley of the Student Prince and had for Ben Yost back in 1946 or so, and there was a lawsuit as to whether the medley was the actual use of the show or not, whether it could be used as part of an act on the Steel Pier. And this went to court, and my father laid out the medley and explained to the judge exactly what he did. So we kind of describe stories like that, anecdotal information, that really brings to life some of the legal issues that really affect the industry. I think that's about all the time we have. If anyone would like to ask any questions, we're glad to take one or two if they allow us. Morris Diamond has asked whether the book is in CD form. Well, the book, all of the forms are on the CD that's inside the book. We will be coming out with, and with the publisher coming out with, a Kindle version of the book, an electronic version of the book at some point. But no, I don't think right now the whole book will be on CD. It would probably be more on the internet and on the Kindle before it comes out on CD. Thank you. Anything else out there? The question is, other than grand rights, what are the other kinds of issues that might be interesting that are covered in the book, for new songwriters and such? One of the chapters we have in the book is called the fair use controversy. The question is, how much can you do a parody of, or a burlesque of, or a satire of, using somebody else's musical work in your own copyrighted work? And the chapter is maybe 50 or 60 pages discussing a number of issues, of the analysis based upon a U.S. Supreme Court case that explains precisely how you can judge how much material of another's you can use in your work, and when that becomes copyright infringement if you take too much. We also have a chapter at the end of the book called Typical License Fees. This is a chapter which people have said it's worth the price of the book, because it tells music publishers and songwriters what's typically charged for a use of a piece of music in a motion picture, or in a television show, or on the stage, or for various other kinds of uses. Yes?
On this licensing business, by the way, I was vice president of Warner Chappell Music, handling all the licensing for every use in the business. I have all those licenses, not the licenses themselves actually, but what I charged. In other words, it's a very important part of the book. What you charge for your music in commercials, motion pictures, any kind of sync rights available.
one of the new chapters in the new edition has to do with YouTube, user-generated content. The problem of someone at home playing a Michael Jackson tune and then dancing in front of the camera and then uploading it onto YouTube, and how do songwriters and music publishers get paid for that? Or when someone takes a movie that has music in it and incorporates it in their own video mashup, so to speak, and puts it on YouTube. We actually include in the contract, in the book, the contracts that YouTube uses with record labels and music publishers for the use of music on YouTube and other user-generated content places. There is a question here, sure. Non-exclusive deals and retitling of.
In order to change a title, you must get actually some kind of permission from the copyright owners before you change the title.
Yeah, that might be either a fair use issue, or it might be a technical issue in terms of, there's a lot of remixes going on out there. We discuss how you license for remixes, for digital sampling. There's an entire chapter on digital sampling, on what you need from a record company, what you need from another songwriter to do a new song that uses pieces and samplings of other people's copyrighted works. There's also what's called termination of rights, that if you're a songwriter that has written a song, after 35 years, you have a right to get that back from your music publisher. And it goes through the great technical detail as to how do you do that. There's even a form on the CD that shows you how to exercise your right of termination to get your song back from the music publisher, so you can grant the right to a new music publisher or become a self-publisher. There are issues here in terms of we added to the synchronization chapter for synchronization licenses. Well, what about synchronization for movie downloads? Synchronization for movie streaming of movies on the internet. So there's when you grant a license to use a piece of music to a motion picture producer, when you grant the broad rights, does it cover all of these things or just some of them? And what are the prices that you charge for these various elements and uses that they want to use? All of it is covered in the book. So that pretty much does it. Of course, mechanical licenses. To that chapter, we added mechanical licensing in the UK and mechanical licensing in Canada, and also how it works around the world. So we've done a lot to internationalize the book as well. So in a nutshell, that's what we've done with the new edition, the 4th edition of Kohn Music Licensing. I like to tell a lot of lawyers out there that if they're still using the 3rd edition or the 2nd edition, they're committing malpractice. So a lot of things have changed, and we recommend that the lawyers and people who have the 3rd edition, it's definitely worth buying the 4th edition. And if you haven't seen the book at all, feel free to go inspect it up at the ASCAP boutique today, or go to kohnmusic.com, where we have reviews and further information about the book. That's KOHNMUSIC.com. On behalf of my father, Al Kohn, who, by the way, turned 91 years old last month. And according to the book, he's now in the public domain.
I can't help that.
And so on behalf of my father and myself, we thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you all after. Bye-bye.